Whether we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. Plenty of conferences and events spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli go on location and sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity. ThreatLocker is a zero-trust endpoint protection platform, providing enterprise-level cybersecurity to organizations globally. With ThreatLocker, you only allow what you need and block everything else, including ransomware. Learn more at threatlocker.com.
All right, here we are. It's been a fantastic time here at Australia CyberCon, hosted by AISA. And obviously, this is Sean Martin, host of the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast. And sometimes we talk about broad topics, sometimes we get into some specifics. Of course, I like to look at things from an operational perspective when I think of risk management and security and privacy. And this is a space that seems to continue to revolve, at least in terms of identity. And we're going to be talking about access control today and some research that my guest Ahmed has done some things with Trobe University, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited to hear about your session here at the conference, CyberCon, and some of the work you and the team have done, and some of the feedback you've received. So maybe a few words about what you do at Trobe and a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay, cool. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting for this talk. So that's very good. So it's an honor for me to share my experience inside what we done before in Trobe University here. And so, by the way, my name is Ahmad. So I'm a lecturer. So in Australia we call it lecturer, but in Europe and US we call it assistant professor. It's a little bit different terms. And so I'm working in the cybersecurity area, but mainly my research focuses authentication, authorization, applied cryptography, and also blockchain. Also, we are working on IT and digital health. So yes, so in Trobe University we have a wide range of researchers that they are working in different areas. But in terms of cybersecurity, we are working on access control, we are working on data breaches, we are working on identity, and also we have other teams that are working on blockchain, and also it's very good to, maybe it's interesting for your team that we launch Optus Center in Trobe University.
Okay.
So in that one also we are working on different type of security and privacy in digital health, that how we can secure healthcare system in the future.
We should have another conversation on that after the conference. I'd love to do that.
But the main chair is Professor Limni, who is good. We can invite her. But Perfect. I think she's right now in the US. She just fly back to US. Right. We have some presentation over there.
All right. Yeah, well, it's a date. We'll have the two of you on. We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah,
so so obviously access control, a focus area. Talk to me a little bit about the research, why there's an investment in this space.
That's a very interesting question. So I think you had a lot of interview maybe with different people. So you had a lot of chat with different companies that right now they are here in this conference. So you can see most of companies right now, they are focusing also in access management, identity, and so on and so on, which is very important. Because for all of us, it doesn't matter which age you are. We are kids, young, adult, or whatever. So we are going to access different things, right? We have many users. We have many passwords. For myself, I have over 20 emails or something like this with different companies, with different things. So I need to remember them. Is it easy? Of course not, right? So I'm not going to talk about passwords because that's the huge area that we can talk about that. But I'm talking about the access. For example, if I come a little bit back to what I discussed for yesterday as well, is about transitioning from traditional access control model to modern access control model, which is fantastic. This is what actually Australian government also they released a few bills just a few days back before this conference, that we need to think how we can secure Australian infrastructure. And this is not just for Australia, it's globally, everywhere, US, Europe, Canada, New Zealand, Asia. So far we have different type of traditional access control model. I'm not going through the detail because we need a couple of hour talk.
Right.
But most of organization, I can confirm 95% organization, they are using RBAC, rule-based access control, which is fantastic. I'm not saying that it's not good because a lot of using that one.
It's easy to define.
Yeah.
Easy, right?
Easy,
But
yeah.
you can set the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of university using other university, other companies, all of them, I'm pretty sure they're using that one as well. Because every company is like Microsoft, like AWS, like Google, everyone using RBAC. They are combining with existing, again, traditional access control model. But the question is that how we can make it better, how we can make it more efficient. Because all of these access control, they are centralized. They are very good for single domain.
Right.
But if you want to actually make it for cross-domain environments, so we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of limitations, like rule exploration. So because in the RBAC, all the access, there are links to the rules. For example, my rule is to perform this job in the patient, right? To monitor the patient, this is my rules. So my access, my permission will link to that. But what I'm proposed recently in Trobe University is attribute-based access control.
Okay.
Which recently, I'm not saying recently, in December 2014, ABAC, attribute-based access control, actually introduced by NIST, which is one of the biggest, you may know about that in the US, with collaboration with National Cybersecurity of Excellence in US. Again, these two combined, they are both in US. They introduced ABAC, the first frameworks, and they mentioned that it's time to move. But unfortunately, no one did that one so far in the last 10 years.
Right.
And the reason, and maybe I can say why, because for organization, it's not easy because right now everyone using RBAC, so they paid a lot of money for those systems, and so on. So it's not easy to move on, but we have some reason that we need to do it. Right now is the time.
Yeah.
Not in Australia, globally, everywhere.
Right.
The reason is that the system, for example, that I proposed for my system model, it's combination of using traditional access control model like ABAC that NIST standard and National Cybersecurity of Excellence in the US proposed, and using the advantage of other attributes based system, which is cryptographic primitives, like attribute-based group signature. So the good thing using these two, we
Is
can.
that blockchain based?
It's not
Or-
blockchain.
Okay.
But the next step that I'm working is attribute-based ring signature. Maybe I can say just for a quick later. So then if you use that one, you don't need to use blockchain anymore. Because you mentioned about blockchain, because everyone right now talking about blockchain. This is one of my area that I'm working as well.
Yeah.
But the big problem with blockchain, you are not able to use it anywhere. Blockchain is good, it's decentralized. But practically everyone says blockchain is centralized, but for the first time actually it's not decentralized, because we need the admin to run it sometimes, and then the system can work decentralized, that's right. But the next work that I'm doing is I'm going to have fully decentralized access control without using blockchain. So that's fantastic. You can run it everywhere, in the healthcare system, in the university, anywhere. So.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because to maybe set the scope of it. So is what you're working on an enterprise, because you mentioned an admin managing the system.
Yeah.
So to me that says a somewhat closed, it might be connected, but somewhat closed system managed by an admin versus like an internet Web3 type thing.
Yeah.
So is there a distinction between those two, and are you looking more at the enterprise business level, or how does it
It's more enterprise. Because for RBAC, the admin can do anything in the system. They have power to change all the policies in the system, right? But in the ABAC, the admin, they are not able to do anything. They have to just run it, like blockchain that I mentioned just, and then the system work by itself. If anything happened, the system will work to how they can address it. You heard maybe about what happened with the AI recently, right? Yeah. If you use AI somewhere, the AI can help you to do this and this. Right. But using ABAC with combination of cryptographic approach like ABGS, attribute-based group signature, the policy system will work if there is any problem, because everything is based on the attributes. So we use group signature to make authentication first, And then, so I'm not going more technical because maybe out of scope of this talk, but in group signature and what NIST proposed in 2014 that I'm working right now on that one, everything is based on attributes. So if in ABGS they are looking, if you have, for example, this type of attributes, then the system can authenticate, okay, this is the right person, right?
Got it.
For access control, also we say the right person should get access to the right resources. So we use those attributes from group signature, we pass it to standard ABAC from NIST, and then that works.
Okay. Can you, because we're talking group signatures, the equivalent to group policy?
Yeah.
Is that kind of the correlation?
No. No, they don't have anything with policy, because policy all is in the ABAC.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is when I'm an administrator setting my access control policy, I would do that through GPO, let's say, typically, which then I assign to roles, and I assign to users, and I assign to systems, and I assign to applications, whatever. So how does that relate to what you're...
That's fantastic. Because everyone, this for 20 years, they are working with the rules, and we have to keep working with the rules, because my rule is to do this and this. I'm not be able to remove that one from anything, right? Still, you can use that one.
Okay.
But if you say, for example, my rule, if let's say, let's talk about healthcare system. If I'm a doctor and I want to get access to the patient data, my rule is to do this, right?
Right.
So these rules will associate to the user's attributes.
So it's a connection, a validation of attributes.
Right, that's right. But what we're going to do, this rule will associate with the attributes. What is attributes? Your name, your age, identity, where you're working, are you in Melbourne, US? You know, it's almost a little bit similar to RBAC, but everything has to be attributes. But the good thing is that with RBAC that right now we are working, we are not be able to make it decentralized. The reason is that we have rule exploitation. The reason is that RBAC is aesthetic. The reason is that RBAC is not be able to apply it in cross-domain environments.
Right.
You need to have one center in top to manage everything, like certificates, right? The certificates come into each group using those certificates, they will assign it to the users. And if you go into another domain, you need to say, okay, I have these certificates. That domain will talk with the center. Right. The center will talk with another domains. Can you validate these users? But in my system, we don't have that center anymore. Domains, they can talk together. Or users and patient, they can talk together. But for that one, maybe it's good for everyone to know, because we are talking about attributes. Attribute is your sensitive information, right?
Right.
Like your ID.
Hence the cryptography.
Exactly. So with our approach, like group signature and later with ring signature, we achieve attribute anonymity. Users anonymity, which your attributes anonymous. No one can see it everywhere. Even if you share it. In my yesterday presentation, I give very good example to audience, and that was interesting. Almost the same in US because I've been there a few times. So if you go into a big shopping like Meijer, David Jones that we have here, same in US, like H&M or whatever. So they will say, okay, fantastic, we like you to be here every time. We would like to send you some notification about our offers, blah, 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 right? This right. So could you please put your name, email, address, phone number, blah, 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 right?
And they hold all that then.
Yeah, they will hold it. So are you happy to do that one? Most of you will say, oh yeah, because
if you want the stuff, you give the info.
Yeah. So we want to do that one because we want to hear from them, right? But I just can say another benefit from my system is that you can do that one and you don't need to worry about your information. They will not be able to see anything, but their system can send you notification because everything is anonymous.
There's a scenario, Marco and I had somebody on years ago talking about validating age to enter a bar. What do? You pull out your ID, they need to verify the age, which is it should only be, are you of age or not?
Yeah, that's right.
Instead, they can see your birth date and your name and your address and other information that happens to be on the ID, right?
That's right.
When all they need is that one piece of information, yes or no, positive or negative. And so it sounds like what you're working on is
That can happen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen as well. We can have just a QR code or whatever, something like this. And with that, everything's, I'm not saying that if you have something like QR code right now,
right,
we can have a lot of data breaches on that one as well.
Yeah.
That one is not secure. But
so
we can
more
use
NFC or?
Almost the same, because we are using different protocols for security and privacy for NFC as well, right?
Okay.
If you just want to use NFC itself, you can share some information. But with the approach that you are working, you can share with NFC as well. It doesn't matter which approach, but it's fully anonymous. No one can see.
Yeah.
But for that one, we are using zero knowledge proof, so it's a big thing. We don't have time to talk about that. But with that, we can prove that we have this type of things that you need, and the system will validate it, but they are not be able to see anything.
Okay. How does this look from an infrastructure perspective? Because I think a lot of, there's a directory that allows you to access on-prem stuff, and then there's the cloud stuff, and then there's public stuff that you described for customers and things like that. And oftentimes the authentication and the access control is pushed to the endpoint.
Yeah.
And then hence a lot of companies on the exhibition floor helping to provide additional capabilities to the endpoint, which means another agent, which means another check, and some work together, some don't. So how does your model fit into an organization's enterprise infrastructure in that regard?
That's an interesting question. That's what actually we had a lot of discussion after my meeting yesterday as well. Some companies we had stopped, I forgot a couple of them, that we are going to start working with them from next couple of weeks, because actually they have some identity system right now. They are almost here, so that's fantastic. I had a good chat. So the thing is that they are using your identity here and there, right? But they're using different approach that how they can mask it, how they can hide it, to provide some type of privacy, because that's your identity. You don't want to share it. But with our approach, they don't need to worry about that. They can share it, no one can see it. But the thing is that both parties, they need to use the approach, because they need to have the same system, right? So if I refer back to your question for enterprise, for cloud or whatever, you can do your job everywhere. What you need to do, you need to just, again, like what I mentioned, it's almost like peer-to-peer, like blockchain. Both parties, they need to just connect to the internet and do something, and the system can do validation. It's very quick as well, because we are not going to generate the new key for each transaction or something like these.
I was going to ask about keys.
Yeah, and the good thing also, I'm very happy to hear your question as well. The good thing with our approach is that because so far, a few of our colleagues in UNSW and Macquarie in Australia, they proposed rule-based encryption, attribute-based encryption. They are a type of access control. They are good, but the problem with those one is that if you want to use it in, they are again fantastic for single domain, not for cross domain, for decentralized system. But again, if there's some way that you can make it decentralized, the big problem is that you are not able to use it in IoT devices, because all of us, we are using watch, feedback, phone, whatever, you're traveling, you don't want to hit your phone, right? You don't want to use a lot of storage in your phone. Just think about governments, because they have a lot of sensors attached here and there. So they have battery limitation, they have the storage limitation, time limitation, and so on and so on. So if you want to use those approach, the size of key liner will increase. So you need to have high computation, which is not good for IoT devices, not good for healthcare system. Because if I'm patient, especially for old people,
so we're talking devices too, right? Not just people. And if that thing's sitting in here,
exactly,
you don't want to waste battery life.
So I'm working that one in my master as well for the type of battery that we have. So this is one of my target that we are working a lot with as well. We are working on the sensor that attach or implement in body, because for those batteries that you have, for example, in your body, so you are not be able to do surgery, right? Because that type of surgery is not good for you. So that battery should work for 10, 20 years or longer.
Absolutely. Let me, so I was going to ask about keys. I think when you talk cryptography, you talk key management, and distribution and management of keys becomes a real mess.
Yeah.
So, have you solved kind of that problem as well?
That's interesting. Like what I mentioned, in my current research, we are working on attribute-based group signature, right? Mm-hmm. So with that one, you may have thousand key for different works, right? We don't worry about that. We say for our work, for this signature, because we first want to authenticate you in the systems. For that signature, actually, we need just one key.
Okay.
That key will associate your attributes, like what I mentioned. We don't care about the rest of the key. We can have it. I don't know. You work with the other companies or whatever other systems. That's fine. But with our system, only key that can. For example, if you have 10 rules, you need to have 10 key, because all of those just associate your attributes. And the good thing in our work also, we achieve attribute unlinkability. What that means, have you heard about e-voting?
No, I have not.
We are going to do this one everywhere over the world. For e-voting system, one person shouldn't be vote in the same time, right? Because let's say in Australia we have voting, which is next year. So if that's going to fully online, maybe users can vote a couple of times, right? This shouldn't be happen. So we use unlinkability in our approach. Yeah. So if somehow your signature forged, if somehow some reason, I don't know, because we are in technology, everything is developing too fast. Something happened, someone find your signature, someone find your key in some case, or if you just reveal it because of maybe sometimes I'm receiving some money, okay, do this one, right? The system will catch that one, because 2% they are not able to do same thing in the systems.
Yeah.
This is we can also prevent data breaches as well.
Nice one. I didn't hear e-voting the first time, sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, e-voting is something that you can do voting, so this is what all the governments they are going to do. We have this one in our system model. Okay. 2% they are not be able to use the same key. 2%, if your signature forged for any reason, the system can detect it.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
Well, I have a gazillion questions for you, Ahmad, but I think we'll leave it with just one more, because I know you had a great session yesterday. I think 1.5 times the space of people joined you than was initially thought about for the room you're in. You mentioned one thing where you got some feedback in our conversation yesterday. Any other single highlight that you want to share with folks from conversations you had outside of that?
You mean relevant to my talk, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, that was very fantastic, because I had a lot of chat with a few companies that they're working almost a similar area. So they come to me how your approach works, because they explain me this is the problem that they have. I told them, okay, using this, you can address that one, even if they don't want to use exactly what I'm doing. But I can share a part of my protocol with them, so they can address it. And also, again, I had a couple of chats with other companies, so I discussed with them. Again, I forgot their name, that's not good for me. But they are using a part of blockchain for identity management. Mm-hmm. So using blockchain, blockchain is very good. I'm working blockchain as well. Right. But somehow you're not be able to use blockchain in the healthcare system very easily. Oh. But I told them, okay, well, later we can do that one, and then we had just 20 minutes chat with their CIO yesterday, and we're gonna start to do some works as well over there. And okay, from what I understand and what we do, I think the next step that we are going to do to work directly with our government in Australia, to how we can, because there is one company in US, I forgot the name of the company, that they already started working on such project just a couple of years ago. I had a lot of chat with them, but their base is in Israel, but their business, all centers in the US. But technical people, they are in Israel. So they try to use ABAC, because that's something fantastic everyone to do, but unfortunately they couldn't achieve their targets. So what they did, they combined the engine in attribute-based access control from ABAC again to RBAC, which is the existing works. So they call it policy access control.
Right.
Because they are just trying to make the policy decentralized.
It's like a shim between.
Exactly. But what all the companies, public and private sectors, they are worried. They don't want to share their policy with each other. Right? But
It's almost the reverse.
Exactly.
Problem, yeah.
And also we can have policy conflict
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
share it, because maybe you're working on something somewhere else, there is same policy. If you share it, you will get policy conflict, the system not working for a while, and then the admin need to address that one. But the good thing with my works, because I had chat with them, so probably we are going to continue with that, because my system already down, we did simulated in the real environments, but we're going to work with some company in Australia, and hopefully we're going to apply for some grants with our governments, exactly based on what they released a few days back.
Right.
We need to secure infrastructure. Exactly, we need to see how we're going to share information with someone, and how we confidence that they are not be able to read what they do, but they have to perform their job.
There's specific language in the Cyber Act.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So this is what I understand. That's fantastic for me. I got a lot of good feedbacks from last night. My LinkedIn.
Here come the grants.
Yeah. From last night, I went home after a black party, and I received 120 requests in my LinkedIn.
There you go.
So that's fantastic.
That is?
Yeah. So this
Nearly everybody in the room.
Yeah, probably, yeah, because I put my QR code over there. But that's very fantastic for me. See that people, they are looking for something like this, and that's very interesting. And again, I'm going to have also a chat with this company in US to how we can maybe work in the future.
Okay.
So probably my target is to get some grants from government and industry we can establish this one in Australia soon, and I hope we can also do it in future widely, not just in Australia, because I can see this very good. This is what NIST in 2014 with collaboration with National Cybersecurity of Excellence in the US, they proposed it. But the problem is that we need to try to convince people why we have to move on, because this for 20 years we are in the traditional RBAC. It's enough.
Yeah.
We need to move on.
Yeah, it needs to be operationalized.
Exactly, because of the trust, security, and privacy.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't share our digital identity with anyone. If you share it, you should be confident that they are not learning anything. But with our system, you can confidence, you can do your job anywhere.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I presume you have some research that you can share with our audience, so maybe
you can share some links with us, and we'll share that with everybody, and obviously a link to, you'll get more LinkedIn followers, hopefully, following this conversation as well. Ahmad, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Chatting with you, and congratulations on a successful research project and some outcomes that led to a talk, and clearly some good conversations following. Thanks everybody for listening, watching. Please do subscribe, share. There's more coming from Melbourne here at Australia CyberCon. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
ThreatLocker is a zero-trust endpoint protection platform providing enterprise-level cybersecurity to organizations globally. With ThreatLocker, you only allow only what you need and block everything else, including ransomware. Learn more at threatlocker.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sean and Marco's on-location event coverage conversations. Please take a moment to give the show a good rating and leave a comment. Remember to share this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Come back for more conversations and follow Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli as they continue their journey toward redefining cybersecurity and society.